Thanks so much for checking out the video. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new piece of content. So I'm a Star Wars guy, right? I love the original trilogy. I have a special place in my heart for the prequel trilogy, and I think the sequels are awful. I really like The Mandalorian, and I think the first two seasons of that have been fantastic so far. I loved the ending of the second season with Luke, where he comes back and wrecks shop and kills the Dark Troopers and takes Grogu, and I think they wrapped all that up perfectly, and it was like just the right amount of fan service in that show. So, all the stuff with the dark saber and all these references to like this deep Star Wars lore. I thought that was probably the best thing that Lucasfilm has done since they acquired the Star Wars license was The Mandalorian. So at least from a television slash movie standpoint, that's been the best thing so far. They've done some good stuff with the video games, like a couple good games, but that's largely languished as well. So what I liked about this season of the Book of Boba Fett, which is what I'm talking about today, I like the 2 episodes that only had Boba Fett for like a minute of screen time. Those were cool. Pretty much hated it, everything else. So let's talk about the everything else that I indeed hated, and I want to start with the world building. This really isn't hard to get right. Star Wars is a very established universe, and it's like we know what Star Wars is, and the Book of Boba Fett doesn't seem to understand that at all. I'm going to spoil the hell out of this show, and I don't care. I will also, spoiler alert, probably use the word cringe more than once during this review, which should tell you all you need to know about my opinion of the Book of Boba Fett. So the world building here is just not great. Like, great, we're back on Tatooine. Okay. Like, we haven't been on Tatooine before. Like, we haven't completely just overblown all of this to death. I mean, we're back in Jabba's palace. Cool, I guess. We have a Rancor again. There's like Boba makes this decision that he's gonna like ride the Rancor and whatever. I don't care about any of that. The presentation of the show is really, really bad. All of the characters kind of look like they're cosplaying. It doesn't look like this was done by an actual professional film or TV studio, and that's a real shame. Great example of this is the Twilight guy. He's like the sidekick for the mayor, and he looks like just a dude who's got a prosthetic like head with tails, and he just talks like a normal ass dude, and that's it. He doesn't seem like he's at any way invested like universe, and he's kind of a good example of everything that's wrong with this show. There's a lot of good examples of things that are wrong with this show. The characters overall, I don't care about Boba Fett. And Boba Fett's one of those like legendary Star Wars characters, right? He goes out like a chumpin' Jedi, and in a lot of the extended universe, in the extended universe, he gets out. He is a bounty hunter. He's badass. He's mysterious, and that's kind of the appeal of the character, is that he always has his helmet on. The original trilogy, we don't know what he looks like. And then the prequels, you know, we now know what Boba Fett looks like because we know what his father Django looks like, and he's a clone of his dad. So we get what he looks like, but he takes his helmet. His helmet is off during like 99% of the time in this show, and so there's no mystery there. That's one of the things that was successful about The Mandalorian, is that Din has this mystery about him. And yeah, we see the character and we hear him speak, but the fact that you never see his face goes a long way towards establishing the character and that mystery, and that's important in this particular type of series. And so when the Mandalorian takes his helmet off, it means something, right? Like there's build up there, there's tension there, and this show just doesn't have any of that. And Tamira Morrison just doesn't seem like he cares. He just kind of walks around and frowns, and it's a huge problem. And I think a big part of that too is that he's like this. He wants to be like the new Jabba the Hutt. He wants to be this like gang lord and crime lord on Tatooine. Why? Boba Fett is a bounty hunter. There's no compelling reason for him to do any of this. If it is, it's not explained adequately by the actual show. Why is it even called the Book of Boba Fett? That's not even established in this series. Unless, again, I completely missed that and just like dozed off during one of the episodes, and there was a line of dialogue that I just pieced out during. So I don't, the characters in this show, I just don't care about any of them. And the biggest example of that, like the perfect example of that, is they have like this group of like rebellious teenagers who are meant to kind of appeal to like, I guess, Gen Z, but they just end up being stupid and awful and cringy. And it's really bad. It's like remarkably bad. That shot I showed you during the intro where I looked sad, those are the speeder bikes that they ride around on, despite the fact that there's dialogue in the show establishing the fact that none of them actually have any money because they don't have jobs. Those actually made it into the show. It's like Power Rangers level of awkward cringiness. And they seem to be trying to meet some sort of diversity quota with like these young teens, and that's kind of dumb too. But the fact is, they just don't fit in this universe whatsoever. They stick out like a sore thumb, and they really contribute to dragging the show down. Yeah, teenage rebels, why? There's also not really a compelling villain in this show, and Cad Bane is thrown in there. He's like a bounty hunter from the Clone Wars, and that's cool if you like that show. I never got really into the Clone Wars, and I don't care. I don't care. They never gave people who aren't Clone Wars fans a reason to care about that character. There's no reason to care about him. He shows up, he's on screen, the people who watch Clone Wars cheer, and then he dies. Great. Thanks. Next up, let's talk about Grogu. Grogu's back. Why? Because the Mandalorian misses him? This show's called The Book of Boba Fett. Why is your most compelling character not Boba Fett? So they bring Grogu back, and Luke is in this show for way too long. And I love Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. Luke in Return of the Jedi is like the most Star Wars character ever. In the beginning, when he shows up on Tatooine at Jabba's palace, chokes out the guards, wrecks shop, and drops a friggin' gate on the top of the Rancor. Luke is badass. Luke is amazing, and he's in this show too much. There's no reason for him to be here. You didn't give him any reason to exist in this universe, and I don't know why he's here. Another one of those things that they changed just because they felt like they were compelled to by the way culture is now. They changed the name of Boba Fett's ship. They don't refer to it by its name. It's called Slave One. And they made no bones about referring to the Mandalorian ship. The Razor Crest is name dropped throughout this show. Boba Fett's ship is called Slave One. If that offends you, I'm sorry. I don't care. Don't change the name of the ship. There's no reason to. The word slave is not offensive. Sorry if you're offended by that. And really, this shot right here with this character for no reason just spinning in a circle makes it. I don't know how this made it out of the editing booth. This is like a dramatic, cinematic, like spin around shot that requires actual camera movement. And instead, they just point the camera at him and he spins in a circle. Why? Who the hell knows? He thought it looked cool. This made it into the editing bay. Somebody edited it at a workstation and it made it into the final cut of the show. And it's crazy. If this is how they're going to do Star Wars moving forward, Lucasfilm and Star Wars fans and Star Wars as a whole and its place in the cultural lexicon is in a lot of trouble. And I'm really disappointed in this show. I'm extremely disappointed in this show. I was ready for Rise of Skywalker to suck because I hated The Last Jedi. And I was excited about this show. Cool, what are they going to do with Boba Fett? I love The Mandalorian. And then they just completely dropped the ball. And I really like Dave Filoni and I really like Jon Favreau. And they're the guys who kind of spearheaded this. And Bryce Dallas Howard actually did a fantastic job directing The Return of the Mandalorian, which is this show's best episode. I think it was like the 4th or 5th episode. It's fantastic. That episode is phenomenal. And it doesn't contain Boba Fett at all. And it finally gets us off Tatooine, and it's doing all this other amazing stuff. They introduce Naboo Starfighter as the Mandalorian's new ship, and that stuff is all really cool. And everything else, just don't care. So Star Wars fans, if there's people out there that like this, good for you. I was not a fan. This is probably the most down review I've done so far, and I've been doing this show for a while now. I've done over 100 episodes of these reviews, and yeah, this one's a real bummer. This one really hurts. Sorry, this one's kind of a bummer. If you liked watching it, if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. You can also like and share it. That promotes it with the algorithm, and then more people see it. So thanks for checking it out. See you next Wednesday, 9 a.m. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know, am I completely off base on this? Or am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Bye.